Welcome back to another episode in the world of video game music. And we're going to have fun today because I've got two brand new guests joining the show. We're going to talk about a game series that everyone knows about, world famous. Whether or not they should keep making new games that are not as fun as the old games, that's a question for another time. But the music itself is quite memorable, both on the animation side when it came to the anime, to the game itself, and I needed to bring in I think, two of the most qualified people to talk about this series. So, without further ado, let me bring in my first guest, a longtime friend of this channel, comrade leader himself, Woopa Troopa. How is it, good sir?
Hey, how is it going, my loyal subject?
Really appreciate it. And then, of course, a new guy, new guest. You guys have seen him here before, and he's I mean, he knows his Pokemon. He's played all the games just like Woopa here, but he's always got a very analytical approach to his the way he talks about things. So I got to have him in here for this. So bring it on up. We got the Legend of Leo himself. What's up, man?
Hey, thank you for having me. Making me blush.
Well, I appreciate you both coming. Because I really couldn't think of anybody else to really do this like Pokemon music stream with, and because I'm actually not super like I haven't played all the games. I played some of them, so I needed to bring in people smarter than me, or at least more familiar with
Addicts.
the series. So yeah.
You got the people who are obsessed with Pokemon on. Good one.
Yeah, you know, I only. Oh,
Oh no.
all right, we're in charge now.
Let's do it, baby. I don't want to steal his whole intro, but let's inform the audience a little bit about maybe how long we've been playing for. Oh, he's back already.
Ah,
All right, that was odd. I don't know. My stream like crashed on me, so sorry about that. I don't know what.
No, we're all good.
we're wondering, wow, he's really throwing us into this.
Yeah, we're yeah. You guys gotta figure out no show notes, nothing. Well, without forgetting where I'm at, let's just say hi to the chat real quickly, and I'm gonna have to go to the YouTube side because I lost it on this end. So I'll pull him up. We got our everyone's favorite comrade, Jake D. What's up?
The general.
And then IJP Mexican, another Pokemon connoisseur. What's up, my good sir? Thanks for hanging out with me recently. He helped me play through the original Metroid game, so that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Death Wish, I can't pull up your chat because it's not on here anymore, but appreciate you coming on by. And Drag Blacker, really appreciate you as well. I can't pull up your track or your chat. Godzillionaire, we always got to have Godzillionaire here. What's up?
Woo.
Love seeing you in the chat. Yeah, so let's see, what else do we got to cover here? Yeah, so if you saw in the thumbnail, I'm going to talk about Pokemon Gen 1 because, Pokemon is like, how many gens is it, guys? It's like, what?
9, 10.
9, 10? Yeah,
It's at 9.
yeah, it's a lot of generations, and so there's a lot of music. So we're going to just start with Gen 1, and then in the future, if we want to come back for Gen 2, at least, we can at least leave that door open for you guys. But yeah, so with Gen 1, actually, so what I like to do is I go into the history of the game or the series in question. So the first game obviously was the first game. The games were Pokemon Red and Green in Japan, and then eventually they came to the U.S. Like a year later, and it was like Red and Blue. And then I learned a little bit about it as well with Yellow. Yellow was kind of like an upgrade for all the other games. Like they added a lot of the features from the red and green and a little bit of blue, and the yellow was just like the colored version. Well, it was the true colored version at least. But yeah, so they all originally released on the Game Boy. The first one was in '96 in Japan, and then like '98 for the US. And yeah, and then of course the latest game in the series is Scarlet and Violet, which came out in 2022 for the Switch. And I think just recently there was like a DLC drop, right, for
Mhm.
like an expansion or whatever.
Mhm.
So yeah, the series is still going strong. They pump them out every like couple years or whatever. And yeah, it's interesting to see like how popular it is, at least here in Japan, because you see it on advertisements like everywhere. There's always like collaborations happening. The Pokemon Center is always filled with people buying stuff. I mean, I don't know like how they never run out of things to sell because it's just filled with people buying stuff. But yeah, and what's interesting too, this is just like a little G Wiz knowledge. The Pikachu character is a trademark, like object or whatever.
Hmm.
Like just the Pikachu character itself. So I think that's kind of funny. Um,
It's awesome. What about the Whooper? Is the Whooper trademarked?
no, they should definitely get in there and trademark the
They
Whooper.
should they should just give it to me. I'll take care of it.
Yes. Yeah, so that's it really basically for the basic history. And I wanted to show you guys this, which actually since I my stream crashed, I gotta reshare this. So everyone knows that, or at least if you follow this, Junichi Masuda is the originator. He was actually called Sound Programmer. That was like his official title back in Gen 1 because he was programming sounds for the Game Boy games. And what's interesting about him is he's basically worked on every single Pokemon game, whether it was the programmer to the composer, all the way on up to Scarlet and Violet. I think some of the latter games he didn't take on like a direct role. He was more of like a producer, like guiding them through the musical process. But yeah, this guy single-handedly has created a lot of our like nostalgic like tunes and melodies that we've heard throughout the years. Um, well, I would also need to say that he took a lot of the music from the anime as well, and had to turn it into like game form.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. Like at least what I thought was interesting was back in the day, his title was program like sound programmer because they had to
Hmm.
program the little chip tunes and stuff. So, and we're gonna listen to some of those songs here soon. But yeah, it's that's quite the job to be able to take real music and then put it into like sound effects. So like back in the day like that. But yeah, I always want to show respect to the people that worked on the music, and just I threw up this quick little PowerPoint slide or whatever, and yeah,
Yeah,
Very nice.
he was the only for he started getting help I think in Generation 3, but for 1 and 2 he was, from what I understand, the only uh sound programmer, as you said, for all of Gen 1 and 2, which is pretty cool.
yeah. So actually, because of the crash, I'm a little like discombobulated. I forgot to ask both of you guys. So I'll start with you, Leo. What is your like history, a quick history of Pokemon for you?
Playing since 8 years old. Every now and then, I skip a generation when it releases, but eventually, because the series has its hooks in me, I always find my way back to it. So I've done a little bit of catching up in the last few years. Red, Blue, Yellow are the games that I've replayed the most. So how fitting for this episode, and that's that.
Awesome. And later, if you guys go check out his channel, he's got his like physical game collection. He's got like basically all of the from Gen 1 to what Gen 3 in their boxes. And it's cool to see
Oh,
that. So like he's clearly a Pokemon fan. So
jealous.
I didn't know that was a rare thing, man. We just don't throw our games out over here.
yeah, that's
Or the
awesome
boxes,
though.
the boxes.
Yeah, the boxes, yeah. What about you there, Woopa Troopa? What's your history with Pokemon? Other than being a
Oh,
Pokemon itself.
sure, I am a Pokemon, so that's a lot of history. I pretty much, when I was little, I don't remember if I first got into it via the anime or if it was because my aunt had the game and I would try and play it on her little Game Boy Color. And so I actually started with Generation 2. I went back to Gen 1. And I've been, yeah, probably since I was 3, 4. I don't know if that's when I started playing the games. I was probably a little young to understand playing Pokemon at the time, but I mean, I was watching the show all the time, and it's just really been kind of like the biggest thing for me because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Would you guys say it's like at least the first two generations are pretty easy like RPGs to get into as like a young kid? I mean, they're pretty.
At the
Um,
time, yeah.
yeah, at the time.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's why it was such a big appeal, and I think also the animation and the card game also added to it as well. They just all of them were released around the same time, so it just really furthered the appeal of Pokemon and catching and
Pokemania. Yeah.
yeah, the Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh,
There's, I mean, it was easy. I mean, I think it's funny you look at a lot of stuff like, oh, if you told people at the time, like, oh, I'm playing JRPGs or I'm watching anime, they'd be like, oh, that's kind of, that's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy. But if you tell them I'm playing Pokemon or watching Pokemon, they're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Like it really,
yes.
even though it is the same thing, it was like it kind of just transcended it.
Mhm.
Yes. To the point where, like, our parents or our grandparents know about it, and, like, at least they know a little bit about it, but, yeah, that's just really it's really funny. Real quickly, let me just say shout out to, Gemini. I can actually pull up the chat now. Hey, thanks for coming on by. And then, Jason, what's up, dude? Thanks for coming on by, man. Appreciate
Nice comment.
it. Um, yes, so for me, I got started in Gen 3. I don't remember how I got a copy of it, but I got a copy of Ruby, and yeah, I played it and I really enjoyed it. And then I eventually played Sapphire. I prefer Sapphire. I don't know why. I like the
Blue,
game.
which starter did you pick?
I Let's see, for Ruby, I think I chose Trico. And then
Incorrect. Sorry.
well, hold on a second. And then when I played Sapphire, I went with Mudkip.
All right,
And then
that's the better choice.
Yeah, yeah, and then from there, I always chose Mudkip because when Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby came out, yeah, I chose Mudkip again, which I thought those were pretty good remakes. Um, yeah, and then from there, I didn't get to really play much Pokemon as a kid growing up. It was like a weird, like taboo thing in my family. So like the only way I can experience it was through Smash Brothers, which actually that was my introduction was from Smash Brothers. Pikachu and Jigglypuff in the original Smash
Mhm.
Brothers. So. Um, but, yeah, other than that, I remember, friends of mine watching the anime, collecting the cards. I was really big into Gen 4, even though I didn't even have Gen 4 at the time, and, Diamond and Pearl, because the anime seemed, like, really cool, because I always see the commercials for it or whatever, but besides that, yeah, just Gen 3, and I always go back to Gen 3. I just Something about Gen 3 is just a lot of fun to play.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
All right, so we're gonna roll right into this, and we're gonna start with the root themes. And so, actually, when I was doing some research for this, I realized that a lot of the music is reused throughout the game.
Mhm.
And yeah, I didn't realize like I thought I was gonna be overwhelmed with all the tracks, but there's not like a ton of tracks. It's a little bit more manageable for this type of show. So let me just throw this up on the screen here, and we're gonna listen to it, and then
Um,
Well, we're going to listen to it and we're going to watch what's on screen. And then we're going to get together and formulate our thoughts and opinions on how magnificent these root tracks are. And if we had to
yeah.
guess, probably pick our favorites, our least favorites. So stay tuned for that.
so every time
No,
Static, static, static.
the
Sound like
robots
a
are taking
cheese
over.
grater on your microphone.
Does anyone speak robot able to translate what just happened?
He's making nachos. Alrighty. You know what I wanted to ask when he was telling us about Junichi Masuda putting anime music back into the video games? I wonder which generation that started with. It wouldn't have been one. It couldn't have been one because the anime
Right.
came out afterwards. So maybe like it started happening generation 2. And I wonder what tracks. Nothing popped in my head when he said that.
you
Yeah, I'm
guys hear me
trying to
now,
think. 'Cause
Yes, sir.
Yep.
is it staticky?
No.
Okay. I heard your question. I didn't look too far into the like what about like which tracks you use, but I do have a video I can recommend. It's from your buddies over there at the Button Mappers. They did a really interesting video
Mm.
about him, so I will share that here in a second in the chat. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pull up a video on my end, and it's like not working. It'll
Mhm.
crash my restream. I
Bringing the
don't know
house
what's
down.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that, but I will at least share this in the chat real quickly so people can. All right, let me try this again. If I disappear, we're gonna have to do this a
Mm-hmm.
different way.
Yeah, don't worry. I got you if we disappear.
Oh, all right. I like to do it this style.
Hey. Yes, put me. Oh.
All right, here we go. Let's jump into this. All right, so there you have it, the root themes in Gen 1. And I'm going to throw this to our first guest here, Whoopa Troopa. What are your thoughts, just like generic thoughts, general thoughts about the root themes in Gen 1?
Yeah, I really like them. I think, especially, they kind of do a good job of symbolizing like where you are on the journey. Like the Route One, it's very cheery and upbeat because you're just like, yeah, you're starting on your adventure, and kind of like when you get to like Route 11, which is kind of the end game. Not end game, but further on, it kind of gets more intense until you're at Victory Road, which is very much like you can feel like the anticipation of you're about to get into it. You're about to start the final chapter. I really like how they build up well with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because the victory road, right? Like you're at the end of the game. You've done all this hard work to get to this point, so like you got to have music to reflect like this final section of the game, which that's just a typical thing in video game music. Um, and yeah, no, I totally agree with that, or what you said. What about you, Leo? Or yeah, what about you,
Mm-hmm.
Leo? What would
Yeah,
you
don't
like to
worry.
add to it?
I thought the same thing. The progression of the songs is matching the progression of the games really well. I thought they were more complex than I remembered, probably because coming out of the little mono speaker on your Game Boy, you can't hear everything. But I was able to hear the two different tracks in both channels on my headphones. And a couple of the songs in particular had like obviously the main melodies that everyone recognizes, but the sub melodies were fairly complex. So that was very nice.
Yeah. That is another great point. The mono speaker or whatever on your Game Boy, you can't fully
Yeah.
appreciate like the work that was put into the sound or the music, and now with like modern technology, you can hear it. Um, I for me, what I find interesting about the root themes is like the march tempo that they have.
Mm.
There's like a very strong.
You're
Oh.
scratchy again. Static again.
Uh-oh.
Buddy, that's like when the Bionicle takes over. Picturing like a Venom transformation.
How about now? I'm changing my mic.
Yeah, you're good. You're good now.
Yep.
Well, this one won't go staticky. So, um, yeah. So, like I was trying to say, I like how it's a march type theme for the root themes, or a march type tone, I should say, because you're doing all this walking, you're moving around and stuff, and it gives you like a I want to say military march, but it's just more of like a purposeful. I can't even say that correctly. Purposeful march towards your goal, and I noticed that theme when I was listening to the tracks, or when I was editing the tracks, I should say. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's really cool. And like I mentioned earlier, like these are reused throughout the game. I mean, there's a ton of roots in this game, so they just reuse the roots themes like throughout the game and whatnot. Um, but yeah. All right. Well, is there any particular one that you guys like or have a favorite for from this video that we just shared? I'll start with you, Leo.
Um, Man, hard to say. Like, first of all, did anyone recognize that? I think it was captioned Route 24, unless I wasn't reading correctly. Is the same as the introduction to the game. That they reused that song. So that was a surprise because I definitely didn't pick that up when I was playing. That's always going to be a favorite, and probably Route 1 is just classic, timeless.
Yeah. The whole like how it's used for the beginning. When I was like editing and whatnot, and I was looking at the song credits, I saw that it was like root whatever slash opening theme, because I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
find the opening theme, and I'm like, where is it? And then
Yeah,
I found it in the root. I was
in the
like, wait,
roots.
what? Yeah. So that's kind of funny. What about you there, Rupa? What is there a particular track from or root theme, I should say, that you really like from what we just saw?
Yeah, I think my favorite is definitely the Route 24 slash 25. It's what, which is always funny because that's like the second Route song you hear.
Yes.
Uh, but it's I just really like it's like that opening theme, which is so awesome, and it's kind of like the first switch up you get. Everything before, if you're on a route, is Route 1 music, and then once you get there, that's the first time you're getting like that real change, and that's when you're going through like the Nugget. It's the Nugget Bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
The nougat?
You're
I
going
don't
through the
know.
Nugget Bridge, and you're like fighting these people. It's like, oh man, this is cool. Like I really like that. That I think that's why that's my favorite one. Just that whole thing.
Awesome, awesome. Um, yeah, I guess for me it would be the Victory Road theme. I like the intensity that it brings, and yeah, Route One. Can't go wrong with Route One as well. Well, speaking of battle themes, the next video I'm gonna pull up here, and hopefully we don't lose. I don't disappear to the void. Is the battle themes. So let me. Now there's not too many in this game. I mean, there's only like you have your main ones. We'll see here in a second, but let me just.
It's quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. Just drop the volume down a tad so I don't blast your ears out.
Thank you.
Oh, my bad. We gotta do one more. I cut it prematurely. Sorry. Hold on a second. Alrighty, so there we got it, the battle themes, and obviously the original battle theme is one of the most iconic ones. It's used in a lot of different, it's used in Smash Brothers. That's why I heard it originally, but you always hear it, at least in like memes and stuff, which is really funny. But that final, the rival theme, which you guys have to correct me if I did, if I captioned it.
Oh,
Oh.
it's one of those nights. What was your favorite of? Well, he's gonna ask that question. I don't want to
Yeah.
jump ahead on any of his questions, but were you into any of the songs more than the others? Like, was there one that you really clued in? Was like, oh, now I'm hooked.
Oh yeah, I have one in particular. It's probably my favorite of any
Uh,
Pokemon song that's on. But
Uh, They were all surprisingly better than I remember them too. Like the headphones tonight is really making a big difference. Is it?
there's something to like, you can tell like two, sometimes even like three tracks, which is like, you know,
Yeah.
nowadays that's normal. And it wasn't really. I was listening to, I did some homework. I'm a good student over here. Like I listened to some other other games that came out like on the Game Boy at the same time. And it's
Mhm.
like they're not anywhere near as complex as this. And like we're not
Yeah.
talking about like earlier or anything. It's like same year release. It's not even close.
Well, thank you for holding it down while I disappeared into the void again. I don't know what you guys heard from me before I ran out the
Nothing.
door. Nothing.
Nothing.
Um, I was gonna say, yeah. So like the battle theme, the original battle theme is iconic. Everyone
Oh,
knows it.
that part we got. Sorry, you were starting
Okay.
on the rival theme. Sorry.
So the rival theme, I was gonna ask you guys, is that the same? That is the exact same rival theme you hear every time you encounter him, right, in the game? Because
No.
it's labeled as like final rival theme, but I thought it was like you just heard a trainer theme every time you fought him.
I was asking
Yep.
myself the same question when I heard it. Oh yeah?
Oh, he has a special in. I'm assuming we'll get to it. He has like a special rival encounter theme, like when he sees you and he's talking to you, he'll play that rival song. Um, but when you actually fight him, it's just the normal trainers until the
Ah,
final battle.
okay.
That makes sense. Okay, because the captioning or the whatever you call it, the
Mm.
titling I took from like online from like the back like from an album, like an actual official original soundtrack, and so that's what they have it labeled as. So
Mhm.
yeah, but that final battle theme is pretty dope because like basically once you beat him, you beat the game, and so they gotta make a grand theme for the final moment in the game, and so I like that one a lot. And then of course the gym themes, another iconic theme that's used across other games as well. Um, Now I'm pretty sure every generation the themes are slightly different if I'm remembering correctly, but they still
Hmm.
have that same tone where it's like it's a battle theme. Like you can listen to the soundtrack blindly, and you
Hmm.
know that like as soon as it pops up, okay, that's a battle theme, because of the way it's composed or whatever. But um, yeah, so we're gonna jump into our first little commercial break, and it ties into the battle theme here. And actually, let me load it up real quickly. I hope I can. Hope this will work. I don't know what is happening with Restream tonight, but it's just not wanting to cooperate with me. Oh, okay. So we're gonna have to do it the hard way. Give me one quick second. All right. So this is about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes long. So if you gotta run and stretch or something, I'll kick us out and we'll play this clip. So we'll be right back, folks. Enjoy this little break. Alrighty, there you go. That was not scripted. That was just AI duking it out, and thankfully it was the Pikachu that won, because maybe there would have been a
Hmm.
riot if it wasn't him that won. But to give context to that, like I mentioned earlier, my introduction to Pokemon was through Smash Brothers. So in turn, the music as well was introduced to me with Smash Brothers, and
Hmm.
yeah, I just remember playing on that stage and hearing that music a lot. And yeah, it was really cool. So I like to incorporate Smash Brothers music into this, because Smash Brothers is like the ultimate gaming music library for Nintendo games, at least. And I think it's just fun to incorporate it in these shows. So any thoughts you guys have before we move on?
Sure. I thought there were some interesting things with the battle themes. First of all, the basic Pokemon encounter. I never really like, now that I'm listening to things back and I've played through the rest of the games, not been a fan of a lot of the newer music. I can really appreciate how I guess Masuda assumed that this would be your first time. Well, it is. It's your first time ever seeing a creature, and it sounds like the theme was set up for that. And then there was an interesting way in how it was kind of that slow build with anticipation in the wild Pokemon encounter. And then they reused that, tweaked slightly, but they basically reused that slow build with the anticipation in the gym leader theme. Probably because like trainers are fine, trainers or whatever, but whoa, a gym leader. So there are a couple things I observed there.
Oh yeah, yeah, because the for the most part, you can breeze through the trainers, and then when you get to a gym
Mhm.
leader, especially if you haven't prepped for it, it's gonna be a little intimidating. So yeah, that's a very good observation there. What about you there, Lupa?
Yeah, I always like playing Pikachu and Smash Bros. That was my favorite
All right, there you go.
for obvious reasons. You went to Smash Bros first. I went from Pokemon to Smash Bros. I was down being everyone. Just
Mm.
shout
Me,
at
everybody.
Pikachu every time.
Good, good, good.
People.
Nice. I wouldn't have expected any other way.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump into the town themes, and I will throw this video up on the screen. We'll see. Let me do this. All right, cool. So town themes. Now, town themes are pretty interesting.
Oh,
We'll discuss it in a minute.
were we talking about the favorite city theme or not the battle themes? Sorry, I might have missed something.
No, no, you're good. No, no, you answered what I wanted you to answer.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yep. Here we go. Alrighty. So, the first thing I want to point out is there's clearly a distinct contrast between when you're on the road and when you're relaxing in the city. And I think
Hmm.
what's interesting is how the cities have all of them except for Lavender Town have a pretty lighthearted feeling to them because it's like, all right, you finally got through like this long trek of in between the routes, fighting off wild Pokemon and battling trainers, and then you might be going on these side quests, right? Like having to go and do random side quests, and then boom, you get to the city, and it's like, okay, now I made it. I got through this like trial, right? And I can relax, I can heal up my Pokemon, I can go to the store and buy some food or whatever. And I think it's pretty refreshing. Like after hearing kind of like a little bit of intense music, you have this resolution when you get to the city with the music, and and of course they're very beautifully crafted themes. So, um, Leo,
Hmm.
tell me about some of these city themes. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Am I coming up with this right now because I'm like just applying some retroactive knowledge, or do these town themes actually evoke what they're supposed to? For example, in Vermilion, it actually sounds like a port town. At least that's the feeling that I get. It's kind of breezy, that the way a lot of the notes blend into each other. They're not really using like staccatos in the main melody. Lavender Town, obviously, they achieved the spooky feeling of that one. It can barely be called music. We probably only refer to it as music because it plays on top of the game. And then with oh god, what's Erica's town called? So that's not Cerulean, is it? No, because that's
Celadon?
East. Celadon, thank you. Celadon, it felt like you were in a shopping center. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the do 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 do, the second do do, that's the chime for the elevator. I'm pretty sure the same
Oh,
little
in the
progression of
game
1 to 2.
itself.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I
Okay.
didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And then so I'm like picking all these things up as I'm listening to the songs, and then we got to Cinnabar, and I didn't really feel anything there. Like didn't feel like the volcano town or the research town or anything like that. But uh, home runs for several town themes. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and real quickly to add to that, for me, whenever I play these games, like I always look forward to getting to the town, not only because of like being able to restock and resupply, but the music itself. It's like they're so unique, but they're very refreshing, and I
Mm-hmm.
always enjoy going to towns just to hear the music rather than like the roots.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Whoopa, your turn. At least we know what we got to talk about now. Go
Oh,
ahead.
but no, yeah, I really like all of those city themes. I agree with you. Like you can feel a lot of the like what you're kind of feel the right feeling. Cinnabar, like I do like Cinnabar, and I feel like you feel like that, like because it's the only island in the game
Mm.
besides only city island in the game. There's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's there, and you can feel that kind of like I feel that ocean theme, with like Viridian City and Viridian they use for a lot of them. I feel like, but it's kind of gives that kind of just town vibe. Like it's not anything specific, but that's why they use it so much. It's like you feel that kind of it's a kind of a small town kind of
yeah. And it's good for the second town in your journey.
yeah, and it makes a lot of sense for like once you get to Pewter City, obviously like more of a small but town, but all the it's where the museum is and the Brock. Obviously, I really like Celadon as well, because that's the like that feels like the biggest city. You've got the
Mhm.
casino, you've got the big shopping mart. It's like and that has the perfect like big city vibes.
Mhm.
I don't know necessarily the vibes, but Cerulean City is probably that's got to be up there for one of my favorite
Yeah.
themes. Any
Me
town,
too.
and I think it's probably my second favorite song in the whole game. Is I really It's so catchy,
Mhm.
and it's just awesome.
Yeah, Cerulean's probably the best just for easy listening. Like if you're gonna load up a song outside of the game, Cerulean's probably the best
Mhm.
one.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. Yeah, I was gonna say something about back to Leo's point about how, yeah, depending on the town, like what the theme of the actual town is itself, it's reflected in the music. Um, there, I mean, that's just good music design to do something like
Mhm.
that. So I'm pretty positive that you're hitting the mark there with that. Um, yeah, especially in later games, it's very obvious. Like when you play some of these later games, the town themes reflect like the actual design theme or whatever. So yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to we're gonna do. So I have. It's kind of funny. The remainder themes. There's not like a category for them. So I called them outside themes and inside themes. So
Mhm.
outside is like you're gonna see some of the more other outside stuff music, and then inside is just like inside buildings and whatnot. So that's just how I had like separated them. So yeah, we're gonna start with outside theme, and I'm gonna load it into the stream here.
Mm.
All right, here we go.
I guess
Oh,
like since it is a JRPG, sorry, these are like dungeon themes, right? I
yeah,
always
yeah,
thought of these as the dungeons.
Technically, that's
yeah.
true.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, that is that is very true. All right, so that was quite a long one. I'm gonna pause it here. There's still more to this. But yeah. So let's just quickly talk about this.
Mm.
Man, what a theme! I mean, the Viridian Forest is essentially a dungeon, right? And you're in it for quite some time. And yeah, this theme, like, it really invokes a sense of like creepiness or scariness because you're in this like big forest and there's a lot of bug Pokemon you got to deal with. And I mean, it's really you hit it pretty early on in the game. Am I right on that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that what a I mean, and this is like very. I mean, I don't remember how many seconds this is, but it's very long. Like a much longer theme than what we've been listening to. So it's they put a little bit more, or he put a little bit more work into composing this out and whatnot. So, um, yeah, what do you guys think about this so far? At least with this Viridian, I'll start with you, Whoopa. This Viridian Forest theme.
Yeah, it's really like very creepy, and like I feel like it's creepy and like comes off as very intense, which is kind of funny the longer you get into the game, just because it's like it is a big deal at the time. Once you come back to it, it's just like, oh, this is really easy, but it does a good job. Like that entry, it's your first time, because other than that, all you've really done is like go through Route 1, which is very easy. And this is kind of
Mhm.
like, oh shoot, it's the difficulties ramping up. You've got, I think that's the first place you really see trainers just standing around, get your first, not the first
Mhm.
chance to catch Pokemon, but it's a big step up as to where you were. So
Mhm. Does this theme play in other sections of the game? Like, is this not also the Sylph Underground or
Sylph
Sylph
Underground is
or
pretty
Sylph something or
similar to
whatever?
this. Or yeah, the
Similar. Okay.
Sylphco is similar, but it's not quite the same. They do.
Okay. I I
These
guess we're
games
gonna
do.
hear it later. Yeah.
Yeah, these games do a good job of like not reusing music, but using the same themes and stuff, which is always really nice when you can kind of see the development of the
Yeah.
songs and such.
The reason why I have to ask that though is because as I'm listening to this, like, yes, the beginning is iconic Viridian Forest and it fits really well, but there's a little bit of a breakdown in the middle where it almost sounded a little bit like, I don't know, this is kind of pulling in the kind of like the malevolent feeling of the ghosts in Lavender or something like that. It just sounded like maybe they did use this song or at least repurposed parts of it for their other dungeons where there are criminals and other people you're taking care of. And I just kind of wonder like what the design order would have been for making these songs. Maybe at some point they were pressed for space and they started. I don't know. I did not articulate that question well at all, but I just had to wonder if this was suited for another location and then repurposed for Viridian Forest, maybe at the end of the development. Maybe we'll find out.
No, I totally get it. Because like they could have worked on this song and then they had one for let's say Lavender Town or wherever, and then they just didn't have enough time or whatever, so they just took pieces of it and moved it around to other sections. Um, yeah, I don't. I tried. I didn't really. I couldn't find online like as far as like how they like when they compose specific music or when he composed specific music. That's just not something that they really
Yeah.
shared. But that would be interesting to know, like the thinking behind it. Like, when you were told to compose something for a forest and the players gonna be in there for a while, like why did you come up with this theme? So
Yeah, that's what I wondered during the breakdown. It was like, why this? This is really ominous, like a haunted forest or worse.
yeah,
You get mugged.
and I think a lot of the other Pokemon games have similar like areas like the forest, and so you hear similar tones with like this dark tone, this like
Yeah.
haunting tone to it. Like I remember from like X and Y. I'm pretty sure even Ruby and Sapphire too.
Gen
Like
3.
you,
I was thinking Gen 3.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, yeah. All right, let's we'll push on. All right, so Mount Moon. I'm gonna ask. I guess I'll start with Leo. Explain
Hmm.
to us what is happening in Mount Moon.
Good thing that you should ask that question. All right, I might be overanalyzing this track, but did you hear in the first 50 seconds, maybe, there was a sound in the song that was like, "Trrr, trrr," and I'm thinking, oh, that was a really interesting sound right there. It was like you, because this is the first cave or the first dungeon. I'm going to keep using that word, I guess, where you actually have ladders. So it sounded like it was imitating the player taking a ladder and going to a different floor. And that was the first part of the song after that little sound where it started to kind of slow down and come to a stop in the music, almost like you hit a dead end in the cave. And then they played a sound that was uh, so if like that first one was higher, then they replayed it going down, as if you're going back up or back out that ladder. And then the song actually restarted, so to speak, from the beginning. So I noticed that it was like they simulated what you would actually be experiencing in your first cave. Gonna check this side. Oh shoot, it's a dead end. Okay, gotta go back, and the music restarts. Could be overanalyzing. Could be intentional.
No, I think you're right on the money there. Whoopa, what do you think about that?
I like what IJP said. I think that's very accurate. No one ever seems
This
like
comment right here.
the Zubat. This is the Zubat cave. They're all here.
Yeah.
But I really like that Mount Moon theme. I like that they have like the section where you can kind of hear it slow down.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that because it's kind of like it's almost like ominous without being like overly ominous, in the sense of like most of these songs have stayed the same pace, everything, and you're like, wait, what's going on? You know, is something going to happen? Because it's very abnormal in what we've seen so far, and I like that they throw that in there for a bit.
It's also not a triumphant song, and slowing down is almost like the motivation leaving your body.
Yeah.
Get me out! Get me out!
Yeah, because these areas can seem very large, even though they might not be. But they accidentally, or not accidentally, they trick you into thinking they're like forever, like you're stuck in here forever type of thing, and or atmosphere. And the music does a good job, kind of signifying that. I like how you put it. The music goes up, and then you'll like, because it's signifying like you're going deeper into the cave, and then it comes back down because like, or you hit a dead end in the middle, and then it goes back down because you have to go back down a different path in the cave. And I'm pretty sure Junichi here, he knew exactly like at least like he probably, my guess is he probably saw like how the cave was gonna be. At least they pitched him the idea of it, like a map or something. And he's like, okay, what about like the traversing and whatnot? How is that gonna feel for the player? And then he just translated that into this track. Yeah, I agree. That's like a really good observation. To go back to what IJP said about like the Zubat, when I was trying to clip these like tracks, like the footage, it's so hard to have like a continuous footage of like the theme going in the background because the encounters and like the trainers and stuff. So I had to just opt in for still images because like that's just the best way to like convey like where we're at in the music. So yeah. All right. Well, so we're gonna continue. There's still a little bit more left here, so let's see what we got next. All right, so cycling and surfing theme. So, Whoopa, take it away with the cycling theme. What do you think about that?
Oh, I love the cycling thing. I think it's maybe one of the best, if not the best. It's so like cheery, and it feels like it seems like a lot more. I think this is kind of the point. It's a little bit more fast paced than any of the route themes. Obviously, like, you can ride the bike on any of these routes. I think that's kind of the point of it a bit, of like, when you're on your bike, you feel, you're going faster, and the music feels like you're going faster, and it's all cheery. It's not like, you're moving around, you're having a fun time, just riding your bike, wind through your hair, all that's good stuff. But like, it's like, it's very cheery, and it's very much more like sped up. Like, you're really moving. It feels like when you're listening to this music. And I think that that's definitely something that they wanted to convey.
Yeah, man. That you hit the mark with how the speed of it. The tempo is much faster. Um, I mean, you are moving really quick. It's funny to see that like on a big screen like that, because I guess maybe on a smaller screen it doesn't really like show it. But um, yeah, that is probably. I think I agree with you. I think it's one of the best moving themes in
Mm,
the in the game. What about you
This
there?
was,
Oh.
I was gonna say, this is pre. Obviously, eventually they introduced the running shoes, but this was
Mm.
pre-running shoes. So if you were either walking or you were riding a bike, so that was a big difference.
Yeah. What do you got to add to that there, Leo?
Yeah, they convey the same kind of feeling with the surf theme. I agree with the bicycle theme, and it feels like surf. You do feel like you're out on the water. So again, man, they're hitting these themes with all their music tracks, and this is by design for sure.
Yeah. With the surf theme going to that, I like how it's a waltz style.
Yes,
Water music and waltz, which I think you mentioned that just
in
recently,
Super
but
Mario, yeah.
yeah, Super Mario has that. Yeah, and there's another game that I think has it as well. But yeah, specifically in this with the surf theme, it's very waltzy, very. I mean, it's the movement of the ocean, right? The waves
Hmm.
moving back and forth and or up and down, and yeah, he conveyed it really well with the this theme. And how often do you surf in this first game? Is it pretty often? Um,
Safari Zone, Fuchsia, Cinnabar, and to the Elite Four to Victory Road, I think. And then you could
okay,
also do like Mewtwo Cave, and those are the
Mm.
ones that most players will do 100%, and maybe there's some little hidden ones every now and then for TMs.
okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, and then in later games, no, I guess surfing and cycling is a staple, a series staple that stays. There's not really another mode of transportation that's like a unique
Well,
sound, right?
it goes away. You get ride Pokemon in Sun and Moon, and then I mean you still have a bike, but you get ride Pokemon in Sun and Moon, and then you fast travel in Sword and Shield. You call a taxi. You still have
Yeah.
a bike, and you can still surf, but by
Yeah.
then, kind of the grandeur of it is lost because it's like, well, just call a taxi.
Just call a taxi.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same with the newest generation. Except now, I mean, you don't really have a bike or anything. It's just your
Yeah,
legendary you get.
yeah.
Mm. All right. All right. Well, let's we're going to do this last clip here, which is the inside themes, and we'll see if I get kicked out for doing this. So, let me set this up and we
Ah,
will
these songs, good stuff. Okay.
yeah, I made sure because I asked you guys what your particular favorites were, and I made sure to include them. They should all be included. So, yeah. So without further ado, these are the inside themes or themes that we hear inside buildings. All right, so let's pause right here because we're about halfway through this clip. Yeah, so we had the iconic Pokemon Center theme, the Professor Oak theme, and the Rocket Hideout one. Oh, sorry, the SSN one, which I know that's a favor of somebody's here.
Mm.
We'll get to that in a second. But with the Pokemon Center, yeah, so that one, obviously iconic. It's used. It's actually used every. That same exact melody is used in every single game, which is really impressive. And they always find a way to creatively like change the way it sounds a little bit, whether the instruments or the tone or whatever. But it's basically the same melody, so that's cool that they've kept that in there. Um, Leo, take us away with the SS and I like the tone of it. It's a really interesting tone, but you could probably explain it a lot better than me.
I don't know if I could explain it too well. I'm just a hobbyist, enjoy listening to music. But I think the SSN one, listening to it back and trying to pick up something from it right now, it has a really nice broad range of notes. And typically that is something that I can appreciate in melodies. So there was that part where they kind of just like went down and back up a scale, and they covered more notes than I think most other songs did. But the feeling of the SSN is just, and kind of like when we talked about Cerulean being really good for easy listening, not just playing the game, but listening outside of the game, SSN is right up there for me. So hard to really identify exactly what makes the song so good to me right now. It just sounds really nice.
Yeah, I think it's very much like it feels like a boat, you know?
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
got a very much of a kind of a seafaring, and specifically like I don't know necessarily like a cruise ship, but it's not like some sort of like commercial shit. Like it's not like your any old boat. I feel like it has a specific feel,
We're not on a dinghy, that's for
Right.
sure.
And they have what is it? This is very random, but the most recent, like they have like a Pokemon World Championships every year, and they've got a bunch of
Mhm.
stuff there for you can just go there, and they had a boat.
Hmm.
They had a boat there, and they just called it like a Pokemon Trainer cruise ship. I'm like, you had SSN right there. That's
Oh,
the perfect chance to use it, and you didn't use. I was like, how do you? Come on, guys.
yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, they could have used it. And I think a lot of Pokemon games have boats that you ride on, or they have boat themes. Am I
Mhm.
correct on that? So yeah, I think yeah, Bupa said right. It just sounds like you're on a boat or seafaring. Like
Mm.
it's hard to explain, I guess, musically speaking, like why. But uh, yeah. Now, what do you guys think about the Rocket Hideout? Um, it's like very bad guy-esque sounding or whatever, and like you're in it for quite some time, right? So you kind of get used to hearing that
Mhm.
theme, and um, yeah. What do you guys think about that? I guess I'll start. Sorry, I'll start with Whoopa.
Yeah, I really like it, and I feel like it's another thing that's good. I think other generations did this well, kind of adapting the theme to the kind of bad guys. Like you get a lot of different bad guys, and as you go on in the series, like Team Magma and Team Aqua or like Team Galactic. A lot of people had like different uh aims. Some of them felt more like I want to say a cult, but kind of like that. And some feel different. Team Rocket are always like they're your traditional bad guys, kind of like mobsters. Like, yeah, see, we're gonna get these Pokemon, and we're gonna profit. Like uh, they always have that feeling. I feel like this has more of that feeling, kind of like uh, you're going into the den of guys like that. I don't like it has that feeling. It's hard. I just
Yeah, I
keep
get
saying
it.
it has that
Yeah.
feeling, but that's
Yeah, classic. Maybe you can say it's like 70s style mafia movie. You go inside the boss's
Mhm.
hideout or whatever, and they're having those
Uh,
conversations, and you just hear this like stereotypical, yeah, like mobster soundtrack or whatever.
Yeah,
But
and you've
yeah,
got
I
the
get it.
point where kind of music stops a bit, do 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 do, and
yeah.
like pause a bit, and it feels like you're sneaking, because you're not supposed to
Mm.
be there,
Yeah,
obviously. I mean,
yeah,
they
because you
wouldn't be a good
find it.
hideout if they.
Yeah, you find it behind like a poster, right? Like
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
entrance or whatever. So yeah, it is. You're supposed to sneak it around, but you can like battle the trainers in here, which is really funny, or the rocket members or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that totally gets it, man. All All right, let's we'll finish the rest of this clip.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's funny that
Ah.
you mentioned the 70s sound of the gang of criminals, because the crash, I mean, it was basically a sound that emulated like a crash cymbal in that song, the ch ch ch
Mm-hmm.
ch, right? And every
Yeah.
time I heard that, I was thinking, oh, we're in Team Rocket's base right now. That's making me think of those old sound effects in the Batman comics. Pow, bang,
Oh yeah.
right?
That's
That's what I thought of. And but I wonder how much of this is like, well, I know the context, I know what's happening. Am I just retroactively applying this? Although that's the same information that Masuda would have had making the songs. So yeah, I
right.
think I have to just put my belief in all of this being deliberate sound choice, deliberate design
Mhm.
choice.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, thank you for holding it. All right, so there we got it. The inside themes, and there's a lot to unpack there. So started off with the Pokemon Tower, which is right outside that Lavender Town, or is it right outside Lavender Town? Yeah. So that's
Hmm.
gonna match the creepy ghost haunted tone to it or whatever, and but I think it takes it up a little bit more, and it's actually a lot longer than I initially realized. Like how it's composed, I guess the piece is much longer. Um, that it's very creepy and whatnot, and Pokemon Tower, for those who don't know, is a graveyard, right? It's like basically there's like it's a Pokemon graveyard, so that's why you see all
Yep.
those like headstones there. So this adds to the creepiness of it. And in Silphco, I'm gonna have to ask you guys to answer this for you because I'm not familiar with this. I'll start with you, Leo. Silphco, what is going on at a Silphco?
I might defer to Woopa for this one. The in-game events have you first dealing with the crooks in Celadon. I mean, it's all Rocket. All the crooks are Rocket. But first, you take care of their headquarters in Celadon because they have an illegal gambling operation. And then Woopa, why do you deal with them again? Oh, that's their headquarters.
So Silphco was the company when you originally go. I mean, there's a lot of free roam. Generation 1, you can kind of there's a way that most people go because it kind of sets you up. But once you pass the first 2 gyms, I think you can go to pretty much 3 to 7 at your will, at your leisure. But if you go to Lavender Town, there's a point in time where there's a floor that you can't get to because there's a ghost. It's just generic ghosts that's like it's blocking your path. You can't, no matter what you do, you can't beat it. You can't get past it. And there's a sylph scope that you can use that'll help you like see the ghost, and then you actually know what it is, and you can fight it. And then you eventually make it to what gym? What city's Sabrina in?
Saffron.
Eventually, you get to Saffron, and you're trying to get to the tower, and there's a rocket. Oh, let me go talk to the people in Silphco, see if I can buy one or whatever. And there's a rocket thug that's like, "Hey, get lost. You can't come in here," and blocks your way. I forget what you have to do to get him out of your way, but once you go in there, it's kind of like Team Rocket is kind of trying to muscle their way and take over the business, and that's why they're there.
That's what I forgot, that it's actually a private enterprise and Team Rocket has taken it over. Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting how again this goes with the storytelling in this game, and so they have this whole like little side quest, but it's part of the main quest, and so Junichi created like this track for the inside the building there. Um, Really interesting track because it sounds, I guess it goes hand in hand with like the Rocket theme as far as like the mugginess of it, or the not tomfoolery, but the bad guyness of it or whatever. Um, Now the one I would ask is Pokemon Mansion. So it's called Pokemon Mansion. Is it really a mansion? Because the sounds of it sounds like a technological lab, like a technology lab or something. And they're like, oh, research lab. But what is going on in Pokemon Mansion?
I think that Cinnabar as a whole would be one of the coolest places to see redone with the modern graphics because I'd want to see the island, I'd want to see the volcano, I'd want to see what their original vision was for it. The music makes me think that they were emphasizing the lab aspect of the mansion more. Because the mansion is actually supposedly where they were doing their experiments on Mewtwo. So I
That makes
don't know
sense.
why it got the moniker mansion unless that's basically just the cover and what was actually happening all this time where the scientists were there. The Pokemon in Gen 1, the lore has a lot that they could expand upon. I'd be really curious about that because the music does sound more robotic, electronic, research oriented.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Go ahead, Woopa.
I would say it's interesting because that is where young me didn't know. Like if you go to certain things, that's where you read the entries of like finding Mew and then Mewtwo was born and all that stuff. It's like really cool. But I think it's also like I think it was. I think the mansion. What it kind of also does is emphasize that it's very like you can see you can fall down a couple floors at one point. There's a bunch of rocks like rubble blocking your way. It's like whatever happened here is like it's very run down. Obviously, no one lives here anymore. That's kind of the big thing of it. Like there's a lot of uneasiness in that song, and I think it is because this is it's a rundown place. Not even like the Pokemon Tower where it's creepy, but it's in perfect shape. This is like what's going on here.
Yeah. The reason why I brought up like my initial comment was it reminded me a little bit of the one level in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door when you're at like the X-Nauts like fortress or whatever,
Yeah.
and you hear like those like beeps and boops and sound effects, like a
Yes.
techie sound effects or whatever, and I'm like, wait a second, like It's called Pokemon Mansion, but like again, I haven't played through this game fully, so that makes sense then. So that's where they did the Mewtwo experiments and whatnot. So,
Hmm.
yeah, what I'm actually curious now to revisit or to not revisit, but to go check out the Fire Red and Leaf Green version.
Yes. See how they, if it was a localization error in Gen 1 or if that was actually intended. Because if it's
Yeah.
intended, there's an interesting backstory there.
Yes. All right. Well, before we move on to the final section of like this stream, what do you guys have to add? Anything else to, I guess, the inside theme or even the outside themes? If there's anything of note you would like to bring up, I'm
So
gonna
far,
refresh
so
my
good.
browser while you guys talk it.
Oh, okay. Whoopa,
Excuse
are you on the spot if you go first here?
I can go here. I like to point out Angry Canadian messed up. He didn't put in the I'm just messing with him, but he didn't put in the rival theme. And not the rival theme, like you have the final theme, but like
When
whenever
Gary approaches you?
yeah, do do do
Yeah.
do do do. I'm probably that's as good as I get. I did band that choir, so but
I'll
like
probably,
I always love that because it does come. I always love that theme is just like I feel like it's always arrogant. Every time Gary's talking to you, it's like you freaking suck, dude. Like
yeah. You
so
snide little brat. Be no one
yeah.
without your grandfather. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So when it comes to those smaller themes, I didn't really incorporate them because they're really tiny. They're more like jingles. I know like
Yeah,
Gary's
don't
theme's a
worry.
little bit more longer, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. The little some of the jingles are iconic, and I just wanted to focus more on the more motifs, the melodic motifs or whatever. So, all right, well. I refreshed the browser. I've been like troubleshooting this while we're like doing the show live as far as like what's happening on my end. So I think I figured it out, but I'm gonna play us this another break, like a clip, and then we're gonna move on to this final section of the show. So we'll be right back. All right, there you go. Another Smash Brothers clip. This time from the Melee or from Melee, the Pokemon Stadium, the red slash blue medley, which again, that's another theme that I grew up hearing, and I wasn't fully aware of Pokemon, but it was fun to always play on that stage and hear that music. So yeah, a lot of fun. Actually, real quickly before I get to you guys, let me just shout out to Jana Banana. What's up? Thanks for coming on by. And of course, Flaccid Phoenix, are you winning, son? Yes, we are always winning here.
Say that
Um,
name 5 times fast.
yeah. So before we move on to the final section, what do you guys think about, I guess, Smash Brothers Melee and that track that I shared?
Oh, that was my break time. I actually used it as a break. Sorry.
You're good then. All right, go ahead, Whoopa. What about it?
I mean, the song, Pokemon Stadium song. I don't think that was the different. Was that Brawl or something? That was slightly different than I remember, at least from Melee. No,
I
no, you're a Brawl guy, or not? You're not.
No,
Yeah, you're a
I
Brawl
like
guy.
Brawl, but I'm pretty sure I chose the Melee one because at least I remember seeing the tag for it. Maybe it's slightly updated acoustics or something, but uh, no, that should have
I
been the
was
Melee
really.
track.
I think the Melee one is different. I could be.
Okay.
I don't know
Well,
if you're
shame on me
gaslighting me
for
right now.
for messing that up.
No, you're fine. I'm just trying. I mean, I know they use different ones. I don't think you didn't mess it up. I was just gonna say Melee one's better. You're a Brawl guy. I'm a Melee guy. So.
Yeah, so all right, so we're gonna jump into this final section, which I like to just ask you guys some questions and then just get some feedback. Some of it might be
Well, there's
you
gonna
might
be
have
a
already.
test.
No, no, it's not a test. Don't worry. It might be something you guys have already alliterated in the beginning or in the middle of this show, but just some stuff about like the music or whatever, or the music and how it relates to the game. So the first question, I'll start with Leo, is how do you think like the overall? What do you think first of all? What do you think the overall excuse me style slash tone of the music that we heard today? How well do you think it applies to like what the game is trying to give to the player, the experience that the game is trying to give to the player?
I think listening them back now, I'd give them as like right up there, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 as far as how they fit the game. An overall theme is probably just adventure, sense of adventure and curiosity. And when there's danger, they do impose danger in the songs. Yeah, honestly, I thought coming into this, I was like, oh boy, Gen 1, this is going to be a doozy, right? Beeps and boops and harsh electronic sounds. But the songs were actually much nicer to listen to than I guess I had anticipated. And it's not like I dislike Gen 1 or the music either, but I was able to appreciate now that I'm 2 to 3 decades older how fitting the songs were. So, yeah.
All right. And Whoopa, same question. You can if you want to copy his homework, you can do that. But, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I really like the theme that they I feel like they match the themes really well. Like you can like I feel if I guess I don't know what Masuda wanted me to feel, but like I feel like it's working, whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
It's like
without
placebo music.
without talking to him, it's like yeah, man, this just feels like it feels like he really hit what he was going for. It's just I'm a fan of 8-bit, 16-bit kind of. I know this is 8-bit, but I really like the old music, and I feel like this does a really good job of just working with what they do. And there's the type of thing like if you're doing back in the day, back in my day, I don't know, but like if you wanted to make a sound in 8-bit, like you have to be real intentional with it. Like you can't just say, "Oh, let's play," trumpet. Like it's not that easy.
Mhm.
Like you've gotta really try hard to make the sound that you want, and I feel like they do a very good job. You can tell this is made with care. Some future Pokemon games or just some other games in general, like I don't have that same level of care that these do. And even if it's just 8-bit, like I feel like they do a really good job, and you can tell how much they put into it. I listen to this stuff just recreationally sometimes. I still I remember the gym music. That was probably my favorite Pokemon music, like just bar none. I remember as a little kid with my Game Boy Color, like after I beat a gym, like I'd wait a little bit before pressing A because I didn't have YouTube. I couldn't go back and like listen to the music on my like through my little Game Boy Color because I'm like, man, this is cool, and like that's kind of like the first time I like really got appreciation for video game music where I'm like I'm listening to it like regular music.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I like how this game kind of reflects in a very simple way life when it comes to the music. So for example, you go through these hard parts and you're like not hard as in impossible, but you go through these difficult parts in your life where you got to overcome some challenges. So that's like the root themes, or the trainer and the battle themes. And then when you get through those valleys, you kind of start climbing up and you get to the city themes where they're more lighthearted. You get to recover, you get to think back about how you got to that point and what you can do better moving forward. And then when you get to the end of the game, you're in the final. It's kind of like, I want to say it's the end of your life, but when you're about to do like something really big, you're at the end of you're towards the goal, the goal you're trying to get to, and you have like a much stronger challenge you got to get through with the trainers on the final route as well as the Elite Four. And then once it's done, you have kind of like this victorious anthem at the end. I think it kind of parallels our journey through life a little bit. And I think it does, the tones of it fit over like this adventurous theme, this adventurous sounding theme that's not like, it's not like your Zelda theme, right? Your adventure Zelda themes. It's its own unique adventure you're going on, and you're having fun, making friends along the way, and growing. So yeah, I like both of your answers that you guys have provided. So
Imagine
Yeah.
though, you do
oh
all of that and it culminates in you becoming champion at 10 years old. Like life is just
Mhm.
downhill from that point on.
yeah, that's the top of
You
the mountain.
peaked. Yeah.
That's,
Uh,
I was gonna say too, like like you're saying, it's not just like Zelda. It's kind of like what's it? Obviously, it's not like I don't want to say it's relatable because I've never brought my electric mouse out to beat up some mobsters, uh, but like it's much more, all these things like you're a hero, you're going, trying to get the princess, save the kingdom or whatever. This guy's like you're just like a kid, kind of just walking around. And I feel like it's kind of like it's much more. Again, it's hard to say grounded when you're dealing with
I get it.
Pokemon, but like it's much more. You're just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. And we're down a
Okay.
Canadian again.
Well, are you Canadian too? Or no?
I'm not,
Oh,
but
okay.
Pop.
Well,
He's our backup Canadian. We've got Pop Culture Mechanic is the main Canadian. Angry Canadian is the backup. Oh, hey, we were just talking about
I got most of what you said before.
you.
No, that's good, man. Now, so the other question I want to ask is, from your guys' gaming experiences, so other games you've played that are similar, somewhat similar. It could just be generic JRPG or whatever. How do you think this music compares to the other like franchises, and like how does it excel or maybe not excel compared to those other franchises when we're talking about the music, specifically the music? I'll start with you, Whoopa.
Oh, sorry, I was walking around. I, it's hard to say because I don't play JRPGs really. Pokemon is kind of the only one. I really like. I mean, all the first four Pokemon, like music wise, I feel like are all awesome. Um, what is trying to think of a good game to compare it to. I don't know, Leo.
Well,
You have a better one.
Leo, you can probably jump in and help him out here. What do you think for a game?
It's an
I got one in
interesting
mind.
question. Okay. Well, I was just going to say there's kind of two streams of early JRPG music. Now, unfortunately, I haven't played Dragon Quest yet. So I'll say there's kind of like the Final Fantasy stream of fantasy music, and it's a little more grand in all of its sounds and compositions. And then there's what Whoopa pointed out to answer the last question, where this just feels a little more grounded, a little more like childlike in the sense that It's fun, it's imaginative, and it's not as structured necessarily with like what we associate with fantasy or anything. So I think music that's kind of similar to it, that stays like in the same path of child adventure. There's a oh my god, I was just about to say it's on the tip of my tongue. Monster Rancher game, also released for the Game Boy Color. So again, you're playing a kid and you're going on this JRPG adventure. I thought that was pretty similar, but I haven't played too many other songs of the time. Or sorry, I haven't played too many other games of the time.
Okay. Yeah, so Dragon Quest is what I was thinking of. I've heard a little bit of the music here and there. But yeah, Dragon Quest, um, Monster Rancher is actually a really interesting thing you would bring up. Monster Rancher. Maybe one game I wish I should have prepped and listened to would have been Monster Hunter Stories. Because I think Monster Hunter Stories is similar when it comes to its gameplay with Pokemon.
Hmm.
Maybe not the well, I don't know about the capturing aspect, but besides that, like the monster aspect of it. So, and the adventure too mixed in with it. So, but as far as like Pokemon itself, I mean, it's clearly set itself a unique uh a unique franchise. So if you hear like if you hear like this 3 second melody, you're like, okay, that's Pokemon. Like
Yeah.
everyone knows. I mean, so I think that's like how at least for me it's excelled over other franchises because at least for me with Dragon Quest, it's hard for me to like hear a song from Dragon Quest and be like, yeah, I know that's Dragon Quest because it hasn't had that like
Mhm.
huge cultural impact that Pokemon has had, even specifically musically. So that's not to bash on Dragon Quest, of course. So I don't want to upset IJP over here. um, all right, so final one of the final questions is, and I think you guys have already explained this, is how has the music impacted your gameplay experience? I know like we've talked about how like it's hard to hear it because of the mono speaker on the Game Boy, but like and also like the music gets interrupted a lot because you're going in and out of battles or whatever. But if you can give a brief or long answer, like I'll start with you, Leo. Like, how do you think this music has impacted your gameplay experience?
Well, I was very young when I first played this game, but some of the melodies were still incredibly memorable, and kids would kind of go like doot doot doot, at school, doing a few of them. The Pokemon Center theme, healing your Pokemon, even. Um, but at least as I've gotten older, if some of these songs come up on like music compilations, video game music compilations, I can still appreciate them. So yeah, that's brief answer because I was a kid when I played the games, and now I appreciate the music more not playing the games.
Cool. Whoopa, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really catchy. Obviously, I was also but a wee lad playing these games. But like I said, like I didn't I wasn't always like big music guy. I kind of
Hmm.
developed into a big music guy, but obviously, like, elementary school, what are you doing? Like, you can like listen to music on the radio, I guess, and they have that one part where they let you play a recorder for some reason. Uh, but like other than that, I feel like it takes a while. And even before then, like, yeah, I was stopping and listening to the music, just the music, from the game. Supposed to be playing the game. I'm sitting there like jamming out. And I feel like it's just so like it's very catchy and you do have the feel of it. I feel like some of the stuff is just um like a lot of the feel that we get. I mean, some of it is very obvious. Like I feel like SSN is very, you know, on the nose with like, even as a little kid, you can tell like, oh, you're on a ship. But a lot
Hmm.
of it, I feel like you don't get some of that until you get older. But even just as a kid, like some of it is so catchy. Like you can play Cerulean City is just like Leo is saying, easy listening. It's like Pokemon has a lot. This Gen 1 has a lot of that, where it's like even if you aren't very what's it called? If you're not
Musically
very like,
savvy?
yeah, like you just sit there and like, oh, this is cool. And like that's a big, when you're trying to get people to like and play your game, that's a big thing. And you also
Hmm.
have, I mean, it definitely did a good job of being scary. Think of all the copy pastas we got about Lavender Town, stuff, fake or real life of like, it definitely invoked that imagination in kids in like, kind of crazy ways. But like, it worked. It did its purpose. It was obviously supposed to be spooky, and it worked. So
Guys, did you hear about how the Lavender Town theme was played backwards for school, and all the kids killed themselves? Like,
yeah, it was
Oh
like,
my
oh no.
word.
I remember when they're like, it's like, oh, because then the first thing you do is like, oh, I gotta go listen to it. Maybe am I gonna go crazy? You're sitting there like,
yeah,
oh no.
so funny how that became a theme.
It was crazy. That's awesome.
I guess for me, not specifically Gen 1 because like I said, I didn't really grow up playing this, but for something like Gen 3, I can go back and listen to the entire soundtrack while like doing something, like studying or cleaning the house or cooking or whatever. Like, and I'm sure I can do the same with Gen 1. Actually, I can do the same with Gen 1 or Gen 2, but something about like the game, the music, because you hear these tracks like way more often than you would like if you're playing like a I guess other video games because of the frequency that you're in battles, the frequency you're on the routes, because you do a lot of backtracking and you need to go back. If especially if you're gonna go hunt for other Pokemon, you have to revisit routes and stuff. So the music slowly becomes ingrained in your mind, and it's interesting how. And you can say this with all video, mostly all old video game music. They had to compose them so well that they were not irritating if you heard them on repeat so many times over. I mean, of course you can run them into the ground, but they were able, at least with Pokemon, I don't know how they were able to get it to where you're transitioning between so many different scenes that it doesn't like interrupt your experience, right? It doesn't like shock you with the interruptions and whatnot. So um anyways, I just think I think it's really for me. It's the Pokemon. At least playing Pokemon games, the music's had an impact on me with just the sense of adventure, the sense of like overcoming like some strong, difficult obstacles and whatnot, and even some like relaxing calmness to it. I mean, like Whoopa said, he would just like not finish the gym battle, or like he would not
Mm.
finish the text just to hear the music. I mean, I get that. I totally get that. So
Mhm.
I think that's really cool. Um, but yeah, so I mean, this is basically it for the show. We went through the Gen 1 music that we heard across the four Gen 1 titles. A lot of really cool themes, a lot of like unique themes, interesting themes. We broke down like what we thought was in the mind of Masuda with his like why he composed like SS and the specific way, or some of these inside themes, like the inside the buildings and whatnot. So it's really cool to sit down and talk to people like you guys that have had the experience playing these games, especially like from a young age. So you play them quite a bit, and then just revisiting.
I knew that would happen.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I
his
saw the
screen,
flickering.
it's a giveaway. Okay. You know what? I bet he's
Almost
going to
got
ask for some final thoughts. I can start giving my final thoughts, I guess, right now. One thing that I want to do after hearing these songs and also the order that he arranged them in is I kind of want to go back and I want to take a couple of the songs like Silphco and the Gambling Ring. I don't know what to call it right now, and just listen to those back to back instead of spread out across with like 7 different songs in between. And I want to start picking up similarities or differences. I want to listen to them also back to back with the Viridian Forest, see if there's anything there that I may have pointed out before. So yeah, I think after this, I might just dive onto YouTube and start loading up some of the tracks, do some research.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm glad that like this kind of, I guess, maybe charged you to do that. I guess like yeah, I'm sorry. Like I was on this really good roll and then it just
Don't
cut
worry.
me out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I only caught the last end of what you said, but yeah, I would anybody that's watching, you guys that are here with me, um, I would encourage you guys to go check some of the other music out from the newer games or the older games, and just compare like how they approached it. Like the it'd be interesting to do like a
Mm.
comparison of like the very first route in every game, like how they sound differently or how they sound the same. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the
Yeah.
Pokemon centers, the melody's the same, but the
Oh yeah.
the tones will be different or whatever because of the hardware. But
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I wanted to say I have one last thought and then I lost it because I went into the void. Um, But anyways, this has been a blast. Like I said, I'm really thankful both of you guys came on. Especially you, Leo. You had a busy. I know you've been busy this week, so
Mm.
thank you for coming and taking time. And
Don't worry.
as always, comrade leader Whoopa Troopa. I mean,
Yeah,
you're a busy man leading the the glorious Whoop Stole
the
Scuff for
glorious
us. So
state, indeed. Yes, I had to take a pause from the cabinet meeting,
yeah, that's great.
I
Um,
always think, what I always think is a crazy thing. I don't understand it. Why don't they put Pokemon music on like Spotify or something
Hmm.
like that? Because they don't. I mean, and the thing is, you can find Pokemon music. Like a lot of people like do like instrumentals and stuff, which is cool. Like it's nice, but I want to hear the real music. I want to hear what it sounded like when you're blasting it through your like little dinky Game Boy Color. Like that's what I want. I don't want the
Yeah.
special, but they don't do it, and I'm like, man, I feel like they're just wasting a lot of money because it's not like they give it out anywhere else. You can either like watch it on YouTube from a not Nintendo, not Nintendo, not Game Freak site. And it's nice that they let that stuff exist, but I'm like, come on, give me a good playlist that I can just turn on and put in my pocket.
yeah, that's exclusively a Nintendo issue because Square Enix and Konami and Sega, they publish their music on the streaming like music platforms. It's only Nintendo that's like very guard like they're very protective of their music, so I don't know what their deal is with that. um or yeah, or like you're talking about how where you can find it, or you have to spend money to buy like a Japanese like soundtrack, the soundtrack for the game, which I almost did. I wanted to buy the soundtrack for these games because I really enjoyed listening to them and doing research on it. So um maybe one of these days I'll buy it. But yeah, and then like you said, the YouTube channel, which actually I didn't even know they had that on their Pokemon channel. You can listen to like some of the full soundtracks on their channel. So,
Hmm.
um, all right,
But
well,
they have it like they do. I mean, it's nice that they don't take down other people, but a lot of it is like, here's this random YouTube account that just posts Pokemon
Yeah.
music. It's like, why doesn't the Pokemon people do that? I don't know.
yeah. Let me give a quick shout out to everyone's favorite vampire. I would say Yakuza has the best music when it comes to the karaoke music. I think the karaoke music is fire in that game. I don't know about the
They
normal
got some
music.
great dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, before I slip into the void again, I gotta let you guys, advertise your channels and what you guys got coming up. So I'll start with you, the Legend of Leo himself. Um, let us know, what you got working on and what you got coming on the pipeline.
Hmm. Sure, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It was a nice little discussion. And you know what? I'm glad that I wore these bad boys because in preparation for the stream and also just my own listening, doing one earbud at a time, I was not able to capture the different components of the songs. So that was really pleasant. Actually, today was when the songs sounded the best I've ever heard them. That was pretty humorous. All right. If any of you want to experience more Pokemon with me, I have something like an hour and a half long video ranking and awarding the mainline Pokemon games. So the award section is something fun that I don't think other people do in their ranking videos. And it's not just making a tier list, it's actually walking you through my experiences with them and highlighting some strengths and weaknesses of the games as well. And aside from that, if that video hooks you, then just go nuts exploring the rest of my channel. So that's the most I'll promote myself for now. Thanks again for having me, man. It was fun.
Yeah, man. I knew I needed you to come on for this and talk about Pokemon because for those who don't know, I found him just through a random short, and I started watching his videos. And the ranking the Pokemon mainline games was a really like well put together video from him, and I enjoyed it. So I put it in the chat for you guys to check it out. Um, I like how he did it, and I haven't played all the games, but I do like the music from most of them. So yeah, thanks again, man. Whoopa, what do you got for us?
All right. First of all, I don't know who Josh is. No, Saratu. So I need you to explain that in the chat real quick. Uh, but um, what am I thinking of? Oh, so probably tomorrow I'm gonna do a Guardians of the Galaxy stream. I've been
Oh
trying to play
yes.
that game. It's really fun. It's a really good game. Um, other than that, I don't know. I got to figure out. I'm trying to once I finish this Guardians of the Galaxy stream, game, I'm gonna try and get like a new, uh, what's it called? new new streaming schedule kind of thing. So
Hmm.
we'll see how that goes. I don't know if I can promote stuff. Well, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. If you were ever like, man, pop culture mechanic, I'd really like to see him get blown up by a landmine. My most recent video on my channel, I lied to him in Lethal Company and made a funny clip. So you should check
Oh,
that out.
really? Okay, I gotta post this then because I'm not familiar with this.
Oh my gosh, it was pretty good.
All right.
I got him, but it was fun. But I really like that video, so I think everyone else will too. But that's all I got, really.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you coming, man, and talking Pokemon or Pokemon music, and yeah,
But
Woopa's a great guy
yeah,
to.
it's tough. I never want to talk Pokemon. Usually I'm
Mm.
very reserved about Pokemon. It's not
Mm.
like I tell every streamer ever that they must play Pokemon.
Yeah, and actually, you know what? Um, is it safe for me to say that you'll be covering the direct, the not direct, the Pokemon Presents that might be dropping this
Oh
month?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's a
Mhm.
Pokemon Presents this Tuesday. I'm definitely gonna watch that during work because I'm not gonna be working. Uh, but I'm gonna watch that. Hopefully, it's good. I think we're gonna get something big. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but we're gonna get something big at least.
Hmm.
Yeah, that should be exciting, and yeah, you'll probably make a video on it. So looking forward to your review on it. As for me, I don't have like anything specifically scheduled as far as like live streams go. I am working on a couple videos, and people just have to wait for them to come out or whatever. I'll post them on social media as far as when I get close to releasing them. But yeah, just check out these two guys. Check out the stuff that they're doing because they seem to do like they're more consistent than I am. I'm too busy these days. But as far as future episodes and like this series here, we've got we got two different directions we're going to go down. We're going to probably either go Metroid or Donkey Kong Country. That's one of the two like next episodes I really want to do. But I wanted to do Pokemon because February is technically like Pokemon month. They always do like Pokemon. I mean, that's the anniversary and as well as the Pokemon Presents and stuff. So I wanted to hit Pokemon this month and talk to you guys about it. But without further ado, I'm going to close this out with this clip. Once again, I appreciate both of you gentlemen for joining me and appreciate the chat as well. Chat was
Mm.
really fun and entertaining and to read and catch up. Appreciate everybody dealing with the hiccups on my end. I got to figure out what's going on here, and we got to get out here before it does it again. So let me play us out with this final clip, and we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Have a good night.